had a real big thing for the whole saviors complex. And I had some relationships with girls who were very suicidal. When a girl would say to me, like, you cannot fix me, I'm already past broken, that was so incredibly attractive somehow.
And did that feel like a challenge for you then?
Of course. I was also not prepared that a hand was going to be put into the part where I shite from. So,
I shite.
Yeah.
your little anus. That put a little finger in your anus. Huh? I've achieved it. And that opened a new door. That opened the door of, if this is possible, what else is possible? Me diving into topics incredibly deep.
Just a little.
Yeah, to really expand myself, which brings us also to the theme of today, the comfort zone, getting out of it, which came when I was running. It's a beautiful place for inspiration, and I was at one point thinking about, we have so many beautiful stories, you and I, so many experiences. Every time we see each other again, you tell me another story, and I'm like, damn, I thought I knew you, but then there's another story that's so bizarre and so absurd. I know that last week when we did our Dutch podcast, you were talking about this almost cult-like experience you had, which I didn't know anything about. And, some experience might not be as good, but at the same time, you said that experience also gave you a lot of learning. And I think that that's where our comfort zone stops. It stops us from actually learning, because it's the zone where we already know everything, and it's the standard. And I find it such a waste when I'm there, because I notice how it's creating like a box around me. It's like creating this tight environment where I suddenly get the feeling that I cannot do anymore exactly the thoughts and the inspirations and the things that I want to do, because there's this other thought that's saying, yeah, but are you sure that you can do that? Are you like, that's dangerous, man. What are they gonna say? And I did that now last couple of days ago after my run. I jumped also in the ice canal. So I jumped in a very cold running water, which already, of course, is a comfort zone. Push. But then afterwards I went out and I saw two girls sitting there on the grass. And I saw one only from behind, far away already. And I looked at her and I saw her hair, and the first thing that I thought is like, wow, she has really beautiful long brown hair. And whilst I was walking closer to her, suddenly the thought popped up, maybe I should just express that to her. And then right away another popped up, like, no, why would you do that? That's weird, that's awkward. What are they gonna think of you? Maybe they even think that you're gonna want to seduce them, which if I wouldn't be a problem that they would think that. But at the same time, of course, that wasn't the case. I have my woman. I have a child right now. But just expressing the compliment for expressing it already was getting out of my comfort zone, and I felt how that's like this tightening in my heart and like in my solar plexus. I feel this tightening, and then I can choose in that moment. I can choose to just let it go and not say it. But then there's a little bit of this tightness, and maybe, an hour later I won't feel it anymore, but it's somehow creeped into my system and it became a standard. This is now something that I believe, because I didn't take action on getting outside of my comfort zone, and I didn't take action on what my, I would say, higher self wants to do, which is just express love to people. And I did listen to what I would call my ego, which is like this ego versus higher self. And the ego's function is to protect you. It's to keep you safe. Which is an amazing thing, which is very important. It's not like we shouldn't have an ego, because as soon as we don't have an ego, we just run on the street and we get hit by cars and we die pretty quickly. So it's really nice that we have this function that keeps us safe, but it just keeps us safe to the extent that it's like an overprotective mom that sees her kid running on the grass and is afraid that the kid will fall. And you're like, well, why are you so afraid? If the kid falls on the grass, it's just a bit of grass. Maybe the pants will be dirty. Maybe he will even, if he really falls badly, he has a little scaffold, what do you call that? Little wound, little bit of a blood, but he will heal. It will be fine. Yeah. And that's sometimes how our ego functions. It makes us so small because it constantly interprets situations as dangerous, whilst 99% of all those situations aren't actually dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's when when we really need to say to ourselves, you know what, I'm going to not listen anymore to that ego that's making me small. I'm going to start listening to this higher self that's inviting me to do something that just comes out of pure joy and love and expressiveness, and wants to just do something that it doesn't know exactly what the result is going to be. And those girls could have said something negative. They could have looked at me, but does that really matter either? Like, also that makes my ego makes it out. If that would happen, then it's the most terrible thing because I'm being rejected and then I'm not part of the group or whatever. I don't know those girls. I will walk away and I will never see them again, and no one knows about it. Like, it never changes anything in my life, but my ego makes it out to be. So it's a fascinating conversation, I think, to have.
Definitely.
So how's that for you, brother? How's that for you? How are you noticing that the comfort zone is keeping you? And are you I feel that you are a person who's well able to actually get outside of your comfort zone. You're pretty adventurous in a sense. But yeah, how do you encounter this conversation?
Well, not so long ago, I had a medical checkup, which was for like a prostate exam, and I was not prepared for what the medical research would be. So they sent the letter with all the information to the wrong address, and I received like nothing. So I came there, and then they told me, well, okay, so now you can take your clothes off and just walk in the room. There were two women, like no men at all. So the doctors were women. I mean, that's all fine, and I'm fine with getting out of my comfort zone. But there was definitely a moment that I was like, I was not prepared for this. Now I have to be naked here. Okay. Right. Well, I mean, they're professionals, but still, I feel very out of my comfort zone at that moment. And then they did the research. I was also not prepared that a hand was going to be put into, well, the part where I shite from. So
I shite.
Yeah.
your little anus. They put a little finger in your anus, huh?
My wee little anus, yes. Oh, that was like Indian. I cannot do Irish. I can do Irish. No, I can do Irish. Well, so they put the wee hand in my arse, and I was like, when always come, don't do it like that. No, but I mean, really, like she molested my ass, man, and
Oof.
I was not prepared for it. Like, she went in full throttle, right, with her whole hand, fist.
Oh.
I don't know what was going on.
And she didn't prepare, say hey, try to relax or something.
Nah, she said relax and be cool, And I was like,
be cool.
Be cool
about it.
Be cool, sure.
Put some more pressure on you, right?
Yeah, and I mean, so then when she did it, I mean, I was my muscles were tense, and she told me, "Wow, you got really strong legs and strong thighs, and strong."
She could feel all of that in your anus.
Yeah. And I was like, "Well, thank you," but I screamed like a little baby at the beginning, man. I'm not gonna lie. So that was definitely a moment that was out of my comfort zone, and then.
Isn't it also something I've always heard that when you prepare for having anal sex, which I only had twice with two different women, so one little starting interaction with it, which wasn't full on penetration. Yeah. Because I already knew that something like that you need to prepare. You can't just push your penis inside of her, inside of her anus. You need to prepare it to open her up. Slowly with your finger, but then even that is a preparation, not just a full finger inside, but just slowly and with lube and
It would surprise you that some specific women don't necessarily need that preparation.
or they've already had it and they just didn't tell you.
No, I mean they just don't. Yeah, well, yeah, like a few hours before. No, there are some
No, no,
that
no. But I
have.
mean, over time, eh? I mean, over time, that maybe if some women have had anal sex over the years, that
Ah,
they don't need it
mm,
anymore because they know how to relax their anus muscle more. It's already been opened in that sense more, something like that.
I don't know. Maybe it's not necessarily one of my. I wanted to say specialties, but
Specialties. Your
that's just
expertise,
such a
not your
wrong way
expertise.
to pronounce it. No, I
Martin,
mean
the Englishman.
yeah, the earnest one. Yes, he got me the ass. No, I wouldn't say it's one of my preferable ways in how to um in how to experience the intimate connection with a lovely woman
I
being.
love how you said that so politically correct.
I did.
Yeah. What a lovely intercourse, interaction with this godly, womanly sense.
Let's be honest. I mean, like anal sex is something that is definitely not just as a standard thing. And for me, to be honest, it's quite intimate. So I rarely do it. I've been asked to do it a lot of times, but I rarely do it.
Yeah, except for when it's done to you with a
I never
finger at the
had.
doctor.
Well, yeah. Well, exactly. And so maybe somewhere in a hindsight, I wish like that girl at that night that she pushed her finger a little farther, because then I would have been a little bit more prepared. But I was not. So I was like not prepared for it, and at that moment I was like, oh man, I wish like those little like nightly endeavors with several women who I had a really nice time with, I wish they would have shoved their finger a little bit further, because then I would have been more prepared for the doctor's visit. I mean, there's a joke hidden inside that, of course, but when it truly went inside of me, I was screaming. It was not nice. I felt like I was being molested. So that was something that was really uncomfortable, and I tried to think about breathing. Where am I right now? Okay, a woman, a doctor is inside me, like very inside me, with her hand. Okay, cool. And then she had to do it again with the echo, right? With like there was a little camera on like, I don't know, like some sort of like big dildo thing. I just have to. I cannot call it any other way, to be honest. And I saw that thing, and I was like, that thing is humongous. Like, okay, I'm. It's good that I'm in a hospital, because I can go through to the ICU in a bit. But so she said, okay, be cool. Again, be cool. Hey, yo, great that you're telling me to be cool. That really relaxes me. So
Be cool,
said,
Martin.
yeah,
Be cool about it.
You got this. You got this. So she said, "Are you ready for this? Or you can also come like next visit, right?" So then I decided, no, I'm just gonna chill. I'm just gonna like really breathe and be.
Because she was
chill.
aware of that you were not really having it the first time, or
Yeah. Well, I mean, I screamed. Like I did not scream. Just like
what was the scream? Was it like
like that,
like a moment like that? Okay, and then what did she do?
Like that, and she just kept going.
She's used to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, she was feeling like the whole, form inside and stuff. So, yeah, that was interesting. That is so, when you talk about comfort zone, that's the moment that I realized that I'm not always in my comfort zone. Oh, and yeah, I cannot not always. Sorry, I cannot always get out of the uncomfort. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable, and I try to get out of it. But then I need to relax and breathe, and I envision myself in a different background. I envision myself in a different situation, and I didn't envision her as an intruder anymore. More like, she's just in a lovely way trying to help me to find out if I have to do more visits. Because because I mean I had some pressure on my bladder for like maybe a month or something. But then it triggered me, and my dad, he had prostate cancer, so I was like, I don't know, I got triggered. I want to check it out. So, anyways, yeah, that was uncomfortable. But back on the part of being comfortable and being uncomfortable, I think I rarely have situations where this was an exception, where I'm not comfortable in being or in getting out of my comfort zone, right? I love getting out of the comfort zone.
So what's that? Let's unpack that, because how do you do that? How do you, because there is within going outside, there is usually some part of us that's a little bit cautious with like, okay, what's going to happen now? Because our mind is constantly interpreting if the situation that we're in is going to have any negative impact. What does your mind do? How do you stay in the state that you can be so comfortable in a new situation, so to say? And
I guess that dealing with rejection on and on and on and on and on and on and on again, not always, definitely not, but like a very continuous loop of being able to deal with rejection is definitely something that helped me a lot with staying in that sort of good situation or balanced situation when it comes to being out of the comfort zone.
Well, yeah, it's not the situation itself, but to stay balanced within yourself. You mean that you can stay balanced within it, even if it is, to some degree, indeed like a rejection or discomfortable,
pretty much
situation.
Yeah. I also I don't think that I'm a person who is, I mean, I can be very shy in the beginning, but after that I'm not shy at all, and I'm just really comfortable in my own body, in who I am and what I do. I think also that the selection of friends that I have around me and who I can really be comfortable with, whenever I feel like it. I mean, I could sleep like naked next to one of my friends, and that would be like no problem, right? I think that's a really good explanation of maybe that is very uncomfortable for them, but no.
But not for you. So you're good.
Is this you? Yeah, it's me. Yes, I just wanted to.
But it makes sense, right?
I mean,
it's really, really important to have the right people around you, so that you have this in group. You're part of something where you get a lot of value from. You get a lot of your needs. You get met there, and so as soon as you then have that specific group, then everything that's outside of that group and what all these people outside of that group think already becomes less valuable, because you're not so dependent on what they think. I know that my sister is someone who has had in the past a little bit difficulty with making friends, and then she makes friends and then she wants to hang out with them, but she needs to always initiate, and the other friends don't like initiate, like, oh, when are we gonna hang out and stuff, and then she always wants it more than the others, and I think that creates also insecurity, you know, and feeling unsafe. And of course, the more we already feel unsafe inside of ourselves, the more an unsafe situation triggers that, and therefore we might avoid those unsafe situations more and more and more. Yeah, so it's really important to have the right set of people around you that you feel incredibly comfortable with. I think that if I go to my first experience, my first big experience, there's many, of course, in the teenage times that you have, but my first big experience of really doing something which was outside of the society's norm is when I started to do what is called as pickup, right? To go onto the street, to go into clubs with the conscious intention to talk to women, to flirt with them, and to get connected, and to eventually find my girlfriend, which was always my goal with it, my perfect girlfriend, that I could be the perfect version of myself, comfortable with myself when I would approach a woman that in my perspective would be a 10 out of 10, that I would find very beautiful, attractive, funny, interesting, intelligent, all these things that I found important. And at the first time, when I walked into the street, I was living in Scheveningen, so near the beach in the Netherlands,
Yeah.
and I went to the boulevard, and there was a girl walking there, and that was my first experience. Now I was like, okay, I'm really gonna try this. I had seen this in this community, in this forum that I was following, that they would do what is called day game, which means you go onto the streets during the day and you just talk to women there. And so I
Yeah.
saw this girl and I mustered up all the courage I could to just speak to her. Ended up walking up to her and saying, like, uncomfortably a little bit, of course, because I was so nervous. Like, hey, yeah, I just saw you. I wanted to say hi, and I think you're cute. You know what she said? She said, I'm not sure what you think you're doing, but I'm like 15 years old, and my mom and my dad are walking here behind me. So, yeah, I don't think this is the right thing, what you're doing. I
Yeah.
needed time to recover from that one.
Oh
I
my.
finally mustered up the strength to not believe that I would be rejected and that I should just do this. And then I get this 15-year-old confident girl just like breaking me down.
Yeah.
Pooh, man. Man,
What
man,
what
man.
what, what age were you at that moment?
I was 19, so it was not that much of a difference, but she didn't look 15. And already then had the idea that you can't talk to a 15-year-old girl, like it's too young.
Yeah.
But she didn't look 15 at all, right? But that's often with the girls nowadays, with all the makeup they wear, that you're like, what? You're 50? You look fucking 30. Like, how do you.
Yeah. Some
How is
can
this
really
possible, right?
yeah. Some can really like fuck you up. Oh, whoops.
Yeah. It's like
Um,
I'm gonna have to start to ask for ID when I meet a girl, man. It's no, but
second.
that was yeah. You go ahead. I'll talk. That
Yeah.
was definitely an intense experience where I needed a couple of days to get over, but it was only a couple of days because I was so in this community, and I met this guy Rick, and he came to my place, and we also went out together to do this on the street, but also at night in a club without drinking anything, right? That's the goal, because if you drink, you get this fake level of confidence, and that was not that doesn't maintain, that doesn't sustain. So without any drugs or alcohol, in the club talking to girls. And when I met him and we went out to this bar in the on the as a beach club as well, he just went out. Like, we walked into the club, he went right away. Talked to first girl, got rejected. Walked away to the next one, got rejected. And I just got so bamboozled. I was like, wow, that's really amazing. Wow, it's really amazing that you're just doing that. Like, he gets rejected, he doesn't care, he just moves on to the next one. And he had spoken to 10 girls before I even started. I was just like, okay, I can't stay behind right now. I need to do this as well. So again, like this kind of group energy that created that, I also, it's part of the group identity. In that sense, it was only him and me for that moment, but it became more people later on, more guys. It was the group identity that getting out of sight of your comfort zone and getting rejected is a cool thing. And I think that's what I really loved about this community, that besides Rick, also the other guys that I met and that I went out with, is that there is this kind of narrative, especially in younger boys, where they kind of challenge and they banter, with each other, and they make each other sometimes look small, which is often also a sign of their own insecurity. And it happens a lot when it comes to women. So when you see a guy approach a girl and he gets rejected, what does a lot of friends do when the guy walks back to them? They're like, you stupid, you thought you could seduce her, you idiot, yeah, you're such an ugly guy, and like banter, right? Like the sometimes funny, but often just a reflection of their own insecurity. And
Yeah,
so
it's
that really,
projection. Yeah.
yeah. And that was just such a shift with this community of guys, where as soon as you walked up to a girl, no matter what the reaction was, if you got rejected, you walked back, you got a high five, and there was
That's
like this
beautiful.
celebration energy. And so it became this like inclusive part, to be part of this group of guys that were just all so amazingly happy to do something that was so scary at first, but then, after a while, it just became more and more comfortable. And Rick at one point invited me to do this 30-day challenge where we would go out every single day, either in the evening in the club or during the day on the streets, or sometimes even both, and we just talk to girls. And it just changed my life, because I started noticing how this ego has this constant conversation going on. And sometimes, even if I did it a couple days in a row, the first conversation on the next day would still like be like this, oh yeah, I have to start it up again. But then one conversation in or two conversation, even if they were rejections, it's like, oh yeah, rejection doesn't kill you. It's all good. And sometimes
Wow.
we would even as a practice, when we would feel a little bit uncomfortable or stifled, as they call it, we would sit on the middle of the street, or we would lay down in a busy, like, city center. Lay down in the middle of the street in order for you to feel, okay, if I'm laying down here, what are people going to say? What are people going to think? You know, oh my God, people are going to have to walk around me now, and they're going to think, why is this guy laying on the street? Like, is he crazy? Is he a homeless guy? Or whatever, all these thoughts that come up, you lay on that street and you just see people pass by. Most people don't even notice you, first of all. Other people, you just see them looking at for a second and then just move on. They just move on to their thing and you just lay there. I did even a video about this, and there's at one point you see even in the video a police guy standing there looking at me, and you're like, oh, a police guy, he probably say something because that's probably not allowed or something like that. No, he just looks at me and then he moves on, you know? It's like, and that gives then that feeling of relief of like, oh, I'm actually not in danger. I'm actually okay. Well, if I'm actually okay, why don't I just express everything that comes into my mind that I want to express that has a positive impact on the world? Why don't I just give a high five to this random guy that I see? Why don't I tell this girl that I find her attractive if I see her? It's just such a freeing experience. Such a freeing experience.
Yeah, was that like the a life event that really changed your perception on how to get along with those situations that you mentioned before, like the girl who was 15 with her full confidence, like breaking you down like that? Like, was that? Well, it's not to exaggerate, but was that the moment that really changed your life in some way?
Well, I guess it's the moment that I break through that again, right? It's that moment that it hits me and I feel the discomfort and I feel a little bit like, oof, okay, that was intense. But then after a couple of days deciding, you know what, I'm not going to take that as my reality.
Yeah.
And I'm going to break through that and then start having experiences that are positive, that are showing me like, see, I was actually doing something amazing. I'm on the right track. I can be myself. I can talk to women on the street. And then that like breaking through indeed created a new personality of I am someone who is able to just do things that I seem to think are impossible before.
Mm-hmm.
And to make that even into more perspective, the reason I started doing this is because my mom passed away when I was 9. And then I basically had 10 years where I became more and more introverted because as a coping mechanism, I started playing a lot of video games. I only hung out with like these other guys that were playing video games and didn't see a lot of girls, didn't go to a lot of parties. I felt uncomfortable, not with all girls, but especially with the girls that I found attractive. Then I would just get uncomfortable. I would get awkward. Mm-hmm. And then at 14, you know, I remember seeing a James Bond movie thinking like, if I can do what James Bond can do, then, you know, my life would be complete, but I'll never be able to do that. That's impossible. That's impossible. And then at 19, after a year of seriously talking to over 1,000 women, like this was a practice. This was a fucking practice and a constant getting out of my comfort zone. After about a year, I found myself going with 4 of those guys to Budapest, where our sole purpose was to talk to women for 4 or 5 days straight. We even wrote down goals of what kind of things we want to kind of break through, what kind of patterns, what kind of fears. We made some agreements that if we're walking together on the street and I see you look at a girl for longer than 2 seconds and you're not approaching her, I get to slap you on your arm. I get to give you a hit and you have to go anyways. So there was this masculine accountability, challenging each other, of course, and at the same time, this positive environment of celebrating the action, not the result, right? Mm-hmm. That's the important thing. We were celebrating each other's actions, not the result. And then I just noticed how doing that in Budapest 4 days in a row, every single day during the day, and then at night in the club, and then, you know, going to sleep maybe at like 4 or 5 a.m., waking up at 12 and doing it all over again, it changed something. I became like, I used to express it as like, I became like a Super Saiyan, like from Dragon Ball Z. I felt stronger. I felt confident. And then on the 3rd day, I was even, after 10 minutes of talking to a girl on the street, I kissed her. and she allowed it, and she was even excited about it. Like, it broke. Like, in that moment, it was just obvious, and I felt so confident that I just did what I felt. But then, of course, afterwards, I was thinking, that's crazy. I actually I only know her for 10 minutes, and she let me kiss her on the mouth? What the fuck? Like, it broke so many of my patterns and programs that I used to have.
Uh-huh.
And then on the third night, or the fourth night, I'm not sure, one of those two, I was in a bar, and I was talking to a girl together with a friend of mine who was talking to her friend. But at one point I told my friend, I'm like, hey, I don't feel like I'm feeling such a click with this girl, and I'm feeling incredibly confident. I have the feeling like I'm in this James Bond vibe. I look to a girl and she laughs, like, and she's like, wow. You know, like, she gets all giggly. I'm like, I'm feeling so good. We even looked at our pupils, and they even looked dilated as if we used drugs. Like, it was that high of a state, whilst we were not using anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my friend, like, hey, what if we just go around in this club and we really look for the most beautiful girls, like those absolute model beautiful, that you're like, oh, okay, that still created a little bit of nervousness when I think about approaching them. But let's do that. Let's really just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was walking around for about 10 minutes, and then I just saw a girl, and without any thought or anything like that, because having talked to so many girls gets you out of your head as well, right? Gets you into your body, gets you into the moment. So there was no thought anymore. There wasn't so much. There was just a moment. And that moment was, I saw her, and I didn't need to think. I saw her dancing. I grabbed her arm. I looked her in the eye, and I said, I've been looking for the most beautiful girl in the club, and I just found her. And you know how she responded? She laughed. Like, ha, oh, that's such a bad pickup line. But I meant it. And I was also not shocked by her thinking it was a pickup line, because I was feeling so confident. So I kept on looking at her in the eyes, and I was like, well, I mean it. And so her laughter from ha 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 went to ha 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 ha. And she saw I was real. I was strong, you know. It's like within the pickup, we called that always a shit test. Sometimes women throw a shit test out to see if you're real, if you're really in that confidence, or if it's just a fake confidence that you're holding as a mask and that they can just penetrate through. Because as a biological narrative, a woman wants to find a man that can take care of her, right? So she needs to poke him a little bit here and there in order for her to see if she's actually safe.
Yeah.
And then she felt that energy, and we had this amazing night. We were dancing, and we're connecting. I felt my heart opening and opening and opening. And then at one point she needed to go to the toilet, and it was like 15 minutes that she was on the toilet. And I'm like, I felt such a connection to her. I got even a little bit scared that she like found an exit through the other side of the toilet or something, because it took so long. And I was like, oh, did I lose her or something like that? And luckily she came back out. And then we had this beautiful evening. We connected so well. And at the end of the evening, I even said, like, I really want to see you again. Like, I'm leaving tomorrow or the day after tomorrow back to the Netherlands, but I want to see you again. I want to come. And I ended up having a 4-year relationship with this beautiful woman that was a actress, playing in a lot of beautiful musicals like The Beauty and the Beast, as the Beauty, of course. Yeah, what a beautiful relationship I had. And I had this moment of standing on her balcony, and just, she was inside and we had some music on. I was just standing on the balcony for a moment.
Yeah.
I looked up and I was thinking, I've achieved it. This picture that I had as a 14-year-old boy, that I was able to just be that James Bond and attract a woman that I think is an absolute 10 out of 10, and be myself, be my confident self, and that she finds me attractive, and that it works, and that I can get a relationship with her. I'm here. I've achieved it. And that opened a new door. That opened the door of, but wait a second. If this is possible, what else is possible? And that started my journey as an entrepreneur, and just creating stuff, playing the playground called life, called Earth, just creating stuff that I felt inspired to create, not thinking too much about what other people would think about it. Sometimes, yes, of course, the thought could creep in again, but then I would have such a strong anchor point to fall back on of, like, if I just continue doing it, if I continue practicing it, I will come to the same point. I did a year long. I spoke to over 1,000 women. I came to the point of attracting the woman that I had a beautiful 4-year relationship with. We ended up breaking up. And that's also perfectly fine because we needed to just go different ways. We had some different value systems in place eventually. And I found eventually now the girlfriend I'm with now, which in some regards just fits me better from a personality perspective. But it was perfect at that moment. And it just anchored in this I can do everything kind of mentality that allowed me to become an entrepreneur, to create many different businesses, to have financial success, but also to challenge myself on a physical level. To say like, okay, yeah, it's intense right now. I'm running as hard as I can, and I'm just gonna push myself through it because I know that afterwards I'll feel better and I'll achieve the goal that I want, and that makes me feel even better about myself. And man, it's powerful.
Wow, damn, what a story, brother.
You didn't know that story yet, right?
Well, to
Or
some
partially.
extent, to some
Partially you
extent,
did.
partially,
Yeah.
partially. I'm happy with the full story. I'm happy that I finally got the full version.
Nice.
No, damn.
Nice.
I mean, that's crazy. Like, how many years were you following that sort of brotherhood with the guys who were continuously activating you and being confident enough to pick up girls and talk with them?
So it was actually about a year before I met her, and then I started a relationship with her that made me also, of course, stop doing it because why would I continue doing something like that if I have a partner? Well, maybe for the comfort zone, but there's other ways of doing that. And I started business, so I just focused my attention there. But I did start a business coaching men how to become better with women. So that made me still do it because I would take guys to, for example, Poland, where I would take them onto the street and into the club so that they could talk to girls to get them outside of their comfort zone, to give them a little nudge and a little push sometimes. And
Okay,
to
so
reflect.
I gotta ask,
Yeah.
where does this come from? Like either Budapest, Poland. Was this like a specific choice?
These places.
Yeah.
I guess within this community of guys, there was this narrative that Eastern European and Russian women somehow, they're beautiful and they're often also more feminine. And I want to use that word carefully because it depends a lot on what you call feminine. But there's more of a traditional kind of division still compared to some of our Western countries where women are a little bit more, you could say, emancipated. I look at that a little bit different now. It's all depending on who you are as a person, what you attract. I now have a German girlfriend. You could say that's a Western country, but she's very feminine, whilst at the same time having a very developed masculine and being able to hold structure and all that, which right now I value both so much because I have both myself. I also like to be able to step into my feminine and be vulnerable and have my woman be there and like say, come to me, and she puts my head on her chest and she holds me, like to be able to have that space too. But at that time it was very much like I want to be the masculine and then I want to have this most feminine woman that's just like girly and girly and girly all the time. And that was more prevalent, we thought, in Eastern European countries. And besides that, for the coaching, it was very useful to be outside of the Netherlands because then we could coach in Dutch. So, for example, there would be a guy standing next to me and he's talking to a girl and I need to advise him basically to start having some physical touch because a lot of guys were so afraid of touching a girl, like even just on the shoulder, right? Or just in her hair or whatever, something small, not touching sexually, but just making already some kind of physical interaction. They were so scared of that they wouldn't pick up on the cues that she would actually be ready for that. And so I would have to stimulate that. And the best way to do that is to just say that to him in Dutch whilst looking a little bit to the side so that the girl, when she would hear me talk, maybe she would look at me, but she would just think I would be talking somewhere else and she couldn't hear what I would be saying because it was in Dutch and she didn't understand that. So that made sense for us. And we had just a place in Poland that we also got to know from doing it, going there ourselves because we used to do these trips more often where we just knew the clubs are good there. On the street, there's often girls that, they're open and it's just, And then there's, of course, an element of you're from a foreign country, which can make it a little bit easier because there's automatically more interest when you're from a foreign country, because then you're like, oh yeah, interesting, you're Dutch, and like you can talk about more cultural things right away, and
Yeah.
you know, it's playing it a little bit more in an easy mode, which is important, especially if you're learning this and you're so uncomfortable that you get a lot of couple of positive experiences, so that it anchors into your being and into your identity. Yeah, that's really what a time. What a time.
It reminds me a little of, I mean, I had a little, I called it a little black book. And I had that from probably when I was 11, 12 years. Maybe a bit earlier than that, actually. That was like my first pickup book, something like that. So I used like stickers and like grades for like, A plus or B or C or whatever, based on how a lot of different girls would react to me. So when I used to joke, I used the same joke on like all of them, and then see the response. Like, seriously.
Hilarious, yeah.
And then I gave it a sticker and gave it a grade. I said, oh, she responded perfectly. Oh, she responded like really funny. Or she thought it was nothing. And like with probably 20 to 80 different gestures also. Like either touching them on the shoulder or blowing kisses, you know, whatever. Just the whole combination of trying to understand how girls respond, how they react, you know. It reminds me a little bit of that. But
yeah, interesting. Well, but what was your motivation? Was that simply just as a kind of like a curiosity experiment to see how people react? Was it also with the intention to really be able to attract girls, or? Well,
girls, they usually they just immediately ran away from me. So because I was probably a little bit intense, I guess. I don't know. I just wanted to hug immediately. You know, coming from the age of maybe 7 or 8, I don't know. I was always like immediately, you know, wanting to embrace, really like hug them. And then they just ran away. So I thought, okay, I'm going to teach myself. Maybe there are different ways in how to approach them without immediately going like like this. So that is probably the reason why. Because normally when they would run away from me, I would switch into a bully mode, and then I would start bullying them. And that was not a nice transition at all. So I was like, I want to
Which was, of course, again, a feeling of insecurity. And then a lot of guys that were in my community would run away, would make themselves small. Yeah. Which is the flight response, right? And you had the fight response. You would go in and just like, oh, you make me feel like this, I'm gonna make you feel like that.
Yeah. Tenfold. Yeah. So no, I'm a fighter. I'm a real fighter. Well, it's just fine though. But so
there's no worse. One is not better or worse, right? It's just a survival response, and of course, the best thing would be to be able to stay present and be aware of our triggers and to be able to solve them.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. I can still remember that I even sent like a little excuse letter to one of the girls. She's called Renee. So hi Renee, if you listen to this. I'm pretty...
Hello Renee. Time for another excuse. 10 years later.
So it was a few years later, because I bullied her with the fact that she had humongous breasts, right? She had really big breasts, and I bullied her with that. And then years later, I sent her like an excuse letter. Hey, sorry, you know, I shouldn't have done that. I think you are a beautiful girl from the inside and out. And I was just being, I don't know, maybe being a little bit pathetic, or responding from a different side. And she really, really, really was very, very chill with it. Actually, she was appreciative. She said, "Hey, thanks. It's really nice that you're saying this, but I mean, don't worry. It was just a really little thing for me. But for me, it was a really big thing. I really felt like this was not okay. I mean, yeah, it's those just little things.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
definitely, I can imagine that, you know, if I would have been there with you in Poland and I would have get like a rejection at that time, I probably also respond from the fighter, saying, "Well, you're not that pretty. Like, don't think that you're all that. No, coming with the attitude,
Mm-hmm.
rejecting me like that, you know."
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really happy that there is no. It's almost like gone. I barely get into that kind of situation or transition.
And what changed?
What changed? What definitely changed is that I I'm not well. You said earlier like there was something about being in your head, right? And that
You stuck in
that's
your head, yeah.
that stops you from being able to really intuitively connect, right? From the heart, from the intention, from the purity that is really there. So being very intuitive now, but also the last period of years, being very in touch with my feminine side, I guess, also with my vulnerability. I have no problem opening up. I have no problem showing tears or, you know, or whatever. So I don't reject myself in any given situation, in any possible part of my body or conscious or human being. So I think that is a really big step. And that changed the moment that I confronted myself with also the biggest traumas that I experienced in life, but also my child system, my child patterns, um, how I how my parents raised me, what were their key moments that really triggered me in some way, and talking with them about it.
And so, just to break that down,
Yeah,
there were moments in
break
your
it down.
past
Yeah,
where, with your parents, there were situations where you ended up responding also with this fight response
yeah,
in order to overcome the situation, right? Which
yeah,
we could call a coping mechanism. In that moment, that was the best possible thing you could do because you were young, you weren't conscious about other possibilities, and you just did that in order to protect yourself, basically.
yeah.
Okay, what kind of do you want to share? What kind of situations with that, or do you have anything in mind?
Well, coming from a very, very, very young age, I still remember when it's either when I was 3 or 4 or 5 years old that there were several times that my parents were very passively aggressive towards each other, and that emotions or thoughts or feelings were not being shared.
Hmm.
Still, there was this big, dark kind of energy that was
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, hanging around.
Yeah, these kind of backhand slaps of making each other small by some kind of comment where you can just kind of barely see that it's actually trying to
Yeah.
take the other person down because it can also be taken as a joke and it can be kind of like almost let go of, but at the same time the energy was there, kind of that vibe, or even not as subtle
It was
as
well.
that.
It was not necessarily a subtle. It was more that they would give each other the silence treatment. And if there's one thing that I am absolutely not okay with, and that would immediately, you know, get me out of my comfort zone fast, is if I would get the silent treatment. Like if someone ignores me,
And
ignores
has
the
that
whole
has that happened also in your relationships?
existence of you. Oh yes,
Yeah, yeah.
at certain times, yes. At certain times, yes, but more often, what happened in relationships, and it's also somewhere easier to understand now, because I had a real big crush or a real big thing for the whole saviors complex, for wanting to save a part or a part of a soul or part of a something that was absolutely out of my hands. I could do like nothing about, but I still thought, I can fix this. I can do this. I can fix
Like
it.
what?
Like the want of either killing yourself. I mean, I had some relationships with girls who were very suicidal. Like the feeling that they were not enough. Like the when they told, like, that was my first trigger. When someone would, like, earlier, right, when I was young, when a girl would say to me, like, you cannot fix me, I'm already past broken, I'm really like dark inside, and you are way too light, you do not know me, you do not understand me. That was so incredibly attractive somehow.
And did that feel like a challenge for you then? That you were like, I'm going to show you that I can fix you?
Of course.
Yeah.
So it's partly
so you
ego.
would really also just really attract broken girls to just put a label on it in order to fix it.
Yeah. And per relationship that I had, now when I think about it, I mean, I had a lot of encounters with girls, ladies, women, who were also like, like the best you could ever wish for, like the most beautiful girls, like the most pure-hearted. But I was just not feeling it because there was no no tension. There was nothing that really reminded me of what I had before, right? Which is stupid.
And what reminded you also basically of your parents and their problems, right? That's also so interesting. That's what we kind of search for in a partner, even if it's destructive. It's in that sense part of our comfort zone because we know it, even if it's terrible.
Yeah. But definitely, I mean, my parents were also very loving towards each other. It's not that they were passive aggressive all the time. I mean, there was just a moment that they should have either broken up or really got into a therapy or really work it out. And those key moments, they decided to do nothing. And I mean, I love them both dearly. I do not hold them accountable for anything at all.
So good.
I think they're seriously. I mean, they're both
so good,
wonderful human beings, and I'm so proud of both of them in what they did in their lives, and in how they made their decisions, and also showing me, the ways and opening up maybe a different pattern for me to break free from, of to break out of, and create my own, which I have been slowly doing.
And probably you don't give yourself as much credit as you've been doing it because you're already saying slowly, but you probably done more than you think you did, knowing you.
Most probably, yeah.
Most probably, yeah. And it's beautiful. I mean, I already noticed it now that I'm having Noah, my son, and then noticing, first of all, I'm aware of where I'm limited in the sense that, for example, at night, he's not sleeping. I need to take care of him. I get fucking annoyed because I'm super tired. I just want to sleep. I don't want to deal with it, you know? And then I get angry at him and I'm like, no, I don't want to get angry at him. So I have this internal conflict going on because the emotion is there, but I don't want to express the emotion because I want him to feel safe and I want him to know that and I know from a logical point of view, it has nothing to do with him. And this is what I signed up for when I became a father, but I still feel the emotion. And so it could just well be that in 20 years, he's going to be like, yeah, Dad, you just were always angry at me or somehow, that's just an ingrained thing. And at the same time, I need to just release that I can't be perfect. And it also made me more gentle towards my parents, specifically my dad. Like I mentioned, my mom passed away when I was 9, so I don't have that many memories. But with my dad, I definitely had quite some processes as well. But I'm more at a point of being able to accept him more and see all the good sides of him because, man, it's a thing becoming a parent and taking care of a child. Like how much you give and give and give and give and give, it's like, wow, thanks, Dad. Thanks that you took all that time and of course I was going to take all these things from you. And I think what you said right now is also beautiful. I think that it ties into my spiritual perspective on life, that we as a soul choose to incarnate on this earth with the parents that we have, that we chose those as parents, also in order to break through certain programs and patterns. And that's what you said, right? You take some of those things over so that you can heal them, so that you can transcend that, so that you can understand the contrasting experience of not being very conscious and being aggressive and having this savior complex, and then overcoming that and seeing like, hey, this is not necessary. This is an old thing. I can release that. I can truly attract a woman who is actually perfect, and I can fall in love with her.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any other kind of comfort zone experiences that pop in for you that you were like, oh, that was really something I got outside of my comfort zone. I'm so happy I did it. Challenge, because you said that a lot of things are comfortable for you, even though they're outside of the comfort zone.
No, that's true. I am.
Let's talk about the acting, maybe,
Yeah, sure.
There's a lot of rejection going on there, right? Like if you're an actor, you have to do all these auditions. We rescheduled this podcast a little bit so that you could do an audition, and
yeah,
I can imagine you said even that you prefer to do that audition before you do this podcast, which probably is just to really get yourself in the zone and to really do it in the perfect way. And
sure, let me switch. I was still processing what you said.
You can also do that. You can also come back to what I said, because there was something touching you, no?
Yeah, it hit me. Yeah.
What hit you?
I guess just like that sentence that you said, like that by breaking out of those patterns and believing that way, a girl is able to really, be able to love you, like fully love you. That just hit me. It resonated. So. Yeah.
Why did it hit you? Because it's something you're really looking for, or was there a missing in that hitting, or a longing?
That's a difficult one to answer. So, you're talking about being in a comfort zone, yes or no? I'm pretty much out of my comfort zone now.
Hey.
I felt some tears coming up, and that's fine.
And what were those thoughts related to those tears?
It's a nice utopic, euphoric, idyllic thing or a thought or a feeling that something like that is possible, right?
And why tears? Is that the missing? Tears are usually a sign of releasing something from the old, because your vision of the future is new and it's bright, and you could be really excited about it, but there's a releasing of something old that's connected maybe to it.
Could be, because I am actually really excited for that kind of connection, right? Mm-hmm. It's not that I have an active search party going on. Find me my woman. No, it's more like I truly believe something like that will happen within now a year or maybe two. I don't know. I think it's pretty close by, and I think those tears or that sadness comes from also letting go of the old and now talking about it, and also. I'm probably a little bit too hard for myself when I say that I grew like a little, and that I probably had some steps or had a slow progress. I had no slow progress at all. It's somehow even maybe in a part unthinkable that I transitioned and transformed into the human being and the person that I am right now. Which I'm very happy for, thankful for, feeling blessed with it. I mean, I'm in perfect balance. My ankle's fucked up a little right now, but
but in mental balance you are.
In mental balance, I'm good. That's also me, right? I was just like, okay, I had a nice little workout. So hey, now gotta catch a train. Sure, let's just do like a little sprint. Let's jump on this platform. Oh, okay, my ankle didn't really follow me there. It went like two times. Yeah,
Oof.
I can show you the photos if you want.
Well,
So okay, so switching to the acting. Well, yes, I was preparing for an audition today before this podcast. I'm still not done. I did one scene, or I did the main part that I wanted to do before. But no, I definitely need to focus. I mean, whenever I'm preparing for an audition, some actors do it like way faster or easier, but I'm not. I cannot do that. I have to be in the zone. I have to be in a moment. I have to be really conscious of myself, relaxed, no tension. If there's tension, first do some breathing exercises, and then I probably need for about 3 to 5 hours. It depends. It depends on the amount of auditions. If I have a lot of auditions going on, I have to part them, and give them like priority. Which one is the biggest priority for me now? Which one do I connect to the most? Okay, but am I still able to deliver in maybe like 90% for all the others? I'm not. Okay, so then I have to skip that part of priority and just really give it like 92 or 93 for every different audition, right?
What makes it hard not to give 100 for every one of them?
Well, it depends. When the quantity, damn, I have to work on my pronunciation. When the quantity is higher, so there are more auditions, there is less time somewhere to deliver, because I have like a focus zone, and within 5 hours or 6 hours I need to relax a little, right? That's also how it goes, like when you're on set or when you're doing a production or whatnot. You're not going full throttle, right? And I mean, auditions it's just, I see it as work. It's work.
Yeah, of course.
I don't get paid for it, but it's work, right? And it's just one of the things that you have to take into account. Next to that is also the research, the analyzing, the deciding what kind of goals you're using. Where you're going into. What is the story? What is your arc, right?
Is there something that
emotions?
Is there something that you really prepare? Like, as in, how do you prepare? Like, you write down the different emotions throughout the scene. Is that something that you get from the scene that they give you, or is it you're very free in filling that in yourself? Or
it really depends on the kind of production. If it's a commercial, the best that you can do, or that I can do, is be easy, be mellow, just be myself, because they really search for energy. They decide on energy, like how you come across. Do you fit the commercial story, yes or no?
And do you also do then the research that you do, look at previous commercials from the same brand, or?
Yes. I mean, in not a very in-depth research, but more like 10 minutes, just watching some stuff, just seeing what kind of style the director has. What are the switches? What are the moments that that he makes the actors like do this or do that, or you can really sense the kind of style and the kind of expectation somewhere. When it's a production, so either for TV or film, then it's a little bit different when it comes to preparation, because you get a role. That role has its own story. So first of all, you need to sympathize with the role, and then you need to understand or lay down like, okay, so what is my goal? What do I want to win in this scene? Who is my who are the people that I play with? What is their story? You know, why am I doing this? What is the objective in the scene? What is the overall objective in the whole thing? What are my... So I use Chabak a lot of times. That's Chabak technique, and it's a more emotional way in how to connect yourself with a character.
Can you just shortly explain what that is? I have no idea.
Yeah, Chabak as I believe it has 9, 10 to 11 steps. I'm not sure. It has a whole step program where you have things as the scene objective, the overall objective, the obstacles, the inner monologue. An inner monologue is the monologue that, you know, when you get a script, you create your own language within, right? You have a substitution. Those substitutions, they stand for someone who is there in your life at this moment. Not necessarily active, as in you don't necessarily need to see them, but they need to be here in the real life, right?
Meaning you create a substitution for characters in the script
exactly
that relate to someone that you know in your real life.
Yeah.
So that you can relate more easily based on your personal experience from the past.
Yeah, well, you connect to an emotional part of yourself, which sometimes is not nice at all. I mean, when you're talking about comfort zone or not, I have a new scene substitution when it comes to the active acting classes that I'm following right now. And here, my substitution is one of my exes. But this ex really like broke down hell upon me. Like in this was I had trouble for a few years even saying her name. It was that bad. I don't want to, like talk bad about people at all.
No, we don't need to mention names.
No, I'm not. Oh, no. No.
You would just get so triggered. That's why.
Yeah, don't get me there. No. So,
but yeah,
the scene is about a lawyer, and this lawyer wants me to shut down my whole company because I'm sort of exploiting old people for my own gain, right? That's the movie, right? It's called I Care a Lot. So for this scene, the substitution is the ex, and what I have to win from the scene, or what my objective is that I want her to give me my power back, right? So that's one of the more powerful things you can use as an objective towards a substitution. So it's either I want you to love me, I want you to trust me, I want you to give me my power back, I want you to be right so I can be, or I want you to be wrong so I can be right. I want you to help me to heal you. You know, there has to be some active thing really connected to the other that is a possible emotional outcome, and that is one of the objective that is that's like, it has high stakes, right? It's not like, oh, I want you to be nice. No, it's, death or living. It's really like do or die.
So that you can go into those emotions, right?
Yeah, because you want to transition into it in the best way possible. So then you have the moment before, so you're envisioning yourself in a situation that you experienced with this substitution. That really triggered you.
Definitely outside of the comfort zone, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. And then, I mean, well, for me, I don't know if that's, true for all the other actors or people who love acting or pursue an acting career. But when the scene starts, I really see that person there. standing in front of me. I don't see my scene partner anymore. I see her, and I'm like,
Wow. Go full in. Do you get goosebumps then as well? Sometimes it's like,
yeah, definitely. When you're in the right, like perfectly right zone, yeah, definitely, yeah. But still, it's very uncomfortable. If allowing all those feelings that, you know, I used some therapy to get to understand myself there, and you know, you did all this work to become a better person and a more beautiful person and whatnot, and accepting the parts that maybe was not so smart of yourself, and accepting that, you know, she also had her way of working out herself, I guess. And then, you know, years later, you're confronted with it in due to your work. And that gets me immediately out of my comfort zone. A lot of things that I'm like, sure, let's do it. I mean, I did commercial where it was almost
commercials are
naked.
more superficial, more easygoing usually, right?
Sure, but I mean,
lot of
you know,
times.
not anyone would be like, hey, sure, I'll just stand here with only a tray in front of my, you know, before my body, and hey, rest of it, I'm completely, you know, nude, naked. What up?
Maybe we need to actually put that commercial. I don't know if we're allowed to do that, but put that commercial in as a people can quickly watch it or something, or link to it at least.
Oh yeah.
So people see what it's about. But it's I found it also really funny when I saw that, and indeed, like I thought about it, like you are actually basically like people are like you're standing there, and it's like this grandma and grandpa seeing you naked. But I mean, there's a lot of people on the scene that are standing there that basically are seeing you naked. You told me you have this little thing in front of your crotch, but
yeah, a sock. Yeah.
Phew, that can also be something, definitely. But like you said, that in comparison to going into deep layers of emotions that are reflecting a past experience that was very traumatic, that's the real deal.
Yeah. Well, in all honesty, when I was on the set with that commercial, there were some people who were standing like really, like really in my space, in my area. But due to the fact that they were more like the producing side, you know, like the people who were on the company side for the commercial, I was not 100% okay with them being so close to me. But that's more like I need my space, right, to be there. And the people
you need your space, or so not related to the nakedness, or you need your space because you're naked.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the people who were helping me.
Did you have to put the talk on your crotch yourself, or was that also something that they did? Like some woman was like, "Okay, let me put that right on there for you."
I did it myself. I didn't mind if they would do it, but they were like, "No, you can do that yourself." Yeah. No, I'm really comfortable. I mean, it's more. I think that is energy wise, man. When I feel like someone is more, you know, like focused on, I just want to get the product out of it and that's it, then I'm less willing to be very comfortable in my in my nakedness around you, right? When I feel that someone, just energy. I'm pretty.
But as in energy of they don't really see you, they're just looking at the end product or something, and they're not trying to make you feel comfortable. They're just trying to get the shit done, or what? Exactly. What do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I've always been like this. I've always been very surroundings sensitive for the surroundings. Yeah. That's something that's always there. And
why does that make you uncomfortable when someone is so focused on just getting it done? Does it make you feel that like you're rushing through it, you're not really seeing me? I think we need to take more time about the scene, or what is it?
Well, it had to do more with the fact that they were standing like underneath like a little tent, right? And they were laughing, like, you know, like just really disturbing the the essence that was needed for me to be able to fully focus and be there.
So it
I guess
wasn't
it had
at
to
all
do with
that. It
that.
wasn't that much about the nakedness. It was also
No.
just you being in your role, being able to do that as perfectly as possible, and then not
Yeah.
getting the correct environment for that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
not some kind of producer being like, "Shut the fuck up, everyone! Let Martin get in his role and do this now," kind of vibe.
Oh, they did that after it. So I mean, I noticed it, and then I said that, and then they took it up perfectly. That was a really nice.
So you
crew
did
to work
express
with.
it. You were like, "Hey guys, I'm
Of
feeling like
course. Yeah, of
we're
course.
not gonna make the right thing if we're doing it like this."
Immediately, and
And that was really appreciated as well.
yeah, yeah. They were like, "Hey, man, you're right. Let's go." So they talked with. So there were like two parties, right? The one party was the party that was the crew, and we were creating it. So there's like director, it's like all the assistants, it's like the lightning guy, the sound guy, or
Camera.
it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Camera operator, just a big crew, right? And then you have the other party, and that was a party for that stood for the commercial itself. So, and they were more like ba 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 like. So this party was also getting annoyed by that party. So
The crew was getting annoyed by that. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Anywho, yeah, it was that was fine. But no, so getting back to that part of being confronted with my ex in that way, felt very uncomfortable, and even now talking about it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. So it's still there. And at the same time, don't you feel that actually doing that in the acting is also a part of therapy? You're being confronted again with those emotions, you use them, you express them, you kind of transmute them in a way? Or is it sometimes even feel a little bit traumatic to do that it brings it up?
No, it's not traumatic. To be honest, for me, acting and playing, expressing my emotions, using my whole body, my intuitive mind, my inner being, my soul, for the sole purpose of playing, of acting, and of living all these thousands of stories in one life, is, for me, it is the perfect therapy. I actually feel that every time I'm playing, I'm somewhere unconsciously healing myself a little bit. Yeah, I always
It's also
felt
incredibly
like that.
therapeutic to be so present in something, right? Like whatever it is, if you're really just immersed completely into it, it somehow connects you to something higher that makes you also feel really aligned somehow, right?
Yeah. To me, it feels like you have like you got the natural way of breath of CO2, and you have this pure essence breath that, for me, this breath feels like the true way of breathing, the true necessity of feeling what I'm able to do in life, what I can pursue, what I should always do.
Beautiful metaphor.
Yeah, and I mean, I also have this with singing, or with writing sometimes, and acting is the one that's always like the biggest one, like boom 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 boom, being there, pounding like a crazy heart. I mean, all these there are so many ways to express yourself and to be in that moment, and to have the same sort of high energy and high frequency transitioning in your whole body that makes you feel above alive.
Yeah. Ecstatic, just pure, fully there, expressive in all of your being.
Yeah, just flying, man. Yeah,
That's so beautiful. It's a part of me that envies that you have become an actor, because it was something that as a child I thought about as well doing, and it was still at a time when I was so not comfortable. So I mean, when I was 15, if I had to do a presentation in school, I would black out because I would just be so scared. So there was like this desire somewhat because I loved being playful and expressing, and I did even like a little thing with my friend when we were young that we would there I go again. Back me.
You did a little thing with your friend. Yeah.
That I did this thing with my friend where we would both take different characters that we would be, and we would record that as well, and then we would just have these interactions, and we would set a scene. And I love to do the Llamas, which is this Dutch TV show with improv. I've even done some improv later on in my life as well, where I love to play these Llamas games. They were a lot of fun for me always to really just go into. But I ended up never really doing the acting, which, you know, is all about this. I was way too afraid to get outside of my comfort zone and actually do that. So as I love to hear your stories and your experience with it. And I have another good friend of mine, Jasper Demolin, who also is an actor, who sometimes shares his process in it. And I find that from a psychological point of view also super interesting. And yeah, comfort zone wise, incredible what you have to move through. And indeed, that rejection just becomes such a standard thing because you do 100 auditions, and how many do you get?
Out of the 100, let me see. Probably between 10 or 5.
5 to 10.
5 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're still lucky, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. And how more famous you get, the more easy it becomes and everything like that. But
sometimes, but I mean, fame doesn't necessarily get you into it doesn't necessarily get you into the feeling of still being able to maintain balance in life, still being able to receive happiness, and still being able to stay true to, you know, where you come from. Your whole
it can also that ego can come in as well, right? You're like, I'm the famous guy, I'll do this audition, and then you don't prepare, and you're there with this ego layer, and you're not really truly stepping into the role. So that's also a danger that can come in. Super fascinating as well. This might be another topic for another time, because fame and being recognized is something that we all desire. We talked about it last podcast, you know, that we all have some kind of narcissism in us because we all have this desire to take care of ourselves and to be recognized by others and to be acknowledged. And at the same time, you know, every creative expression starts with just being fully in the present moment without any storyline of who you were before that. Man, we're already 1.5 hours in, so I think we're gonna wrap this up, but I think we can do another episode on this. This is a really fascinating one. I think we have another 100 stories we could share related to this. That, yeah.
Bro, are we seriously? Is it already 1.5 hours?
Yeah, man. Yeah, but it's super fascinating, no?
I want to know more about the, like, picking up girls and how, you know, that was, and like the more in-depth version.
Well, you can follow the course. No, I don't do that anymore. But I don't do that anymore. It was a really beautiful time, but there was a lot of guys that were just doing this because they wanted to get into the pants of girls, and I just really started resenting that more and more, because it was always for me about really finding the true girl. And I guess I could have changed something in my communication and marketing that I would have attracted maybe more of those guys, but there was just a lot of guys with a lot of sexual frustration that I attracted, and it just became, at one point I was like, I want to move on from this, so I let go of that company. But yeah, a lot of things came out of this, getting outside of the comfort zone, and also in all the future endeavors, and also in this endeavor, right? I mean, there's a little element of getting outside of your comfort zone when we're doing this podcast and we're speaking about things. I notice my mind sometimes observing, especially I remember our first episode where we spoke about, you know, also all these racism, and we were joking around, you know, we were making jokes about Hitler and about child abuse and stuff like that, where, you know, in the same time, my mind is like, ooh, how is that going to be interpreted? If people see this, what are they going to think? You know, and this cancel culture that's going on, and it's somewhat present. And then I just need to release that in order to just be present with you here and just not judge whatever my mind is throwing up and just being okay with that people are going to think something of it, because I've already experienced also, like we talked about, fame. I've also experienced my certain degree of fame with my company becoming bigger and a lot of people seeing my advertisements and then people noticing, recognizing me on the street, which really also did something that we can talk about some other time. But then being able to just come back to yourself and staying, okay, I'm not here for the judgment of others if they're positive or negative. I'm here for the expression. Yeah. And I think that's what the beauty of our podcast right now is that we do this for ourselves. I'm reading this book actually right now called Big Magic, which is about creative expressions. Really fascinating book. But one of the things that she says, actually, the best thing to do is that whatever you do it for yourself first. And as soon as you really do that, then, any kind of endeavor becomes pure, because you're not constantly looking at, like, how should I say this so that others interpret that, but you're like, okay, what do I need right now? And I love to do it that way, because then I'm also most inspired if it's a topic that I'm working on. Like, I even had the idea of creating a group right now called Fit Fathers, helping fathers to become fit, because I started doing this running when my child was born. And before that time, of course, I was already eating more healthy. I was taking supplements. I was taking care of myself, and I feel really great. And I heard the statistic that men gain 4 kilograms on average in the 2 years after they become a father. And I found that a very fascinating thing. I'm like, that'd be interesting to see if I can express my story and my journey on this, and along the way inspire others. But the first inspiration came from, I just want to share this because I feel so good when I go for my runs. I feel so good when I'm taking care of my health. I feel so good when I'm also taking the responsibility of taking care of my woman's health by cooking for her, because her breastfeeding, if her milk is not good because she's eating shit, then it's going to go into my child, and I don't want to have that. So when she's making decisions that are not good for her, maybe I can, not by telling her that she's wrong, but by stimulating, by making it easy to make her choose the right food, by cooking, by, taking the right ingredients, by cooking organic foods, by using the supplement, all these things. That just got me inspired as well. So and then I can be like, oh yeah, what are people going to think of that? And is this actually going to work? And I just try to steer away from that and stay true to what I am excited about. What do I want to share, regardless of what other people think? And that keeps me allowing myself to step outside of the comfort zone and just live more happily, because I do think that that's where it ends up. If we follow our ego, our box becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. But when we follow our higher self, that gives us these inspirations that are outside of our comfort zone. It expands us so much that we feel more than alive, as you beautifully said.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's also something for the next podcast. Picking up with Ruben, seeing how's the fit father growing.
So many episodes coming. We only just started, which
that's true, man. That's true.
Yeah, and I think we both feel the energy. So, peoples, thank you for watching or listening all this way through. We're an hour and 37 minutes in. Maybe we cut down a little bit, so maybe it's an hour and 30, but yeah, it's thank you for being here, for being so present. Really curious what you get out of these podcasts. They have a lot of different layers, a lot of different topics that we talk about, so really curious to hear what you get out of it. And
what do you get out of it?
What you get out of it?
What do you get out of it? Hey, out of Ruma. Out of Ruma.
We're still working on our intro audio, and I think Martin is going to come up with intro, outro, whatever. And Martin's going to come up with something genius. I already feel that. So let's see. Yes. So thanks to everyone. Let us know, and please also like and share this podcast if you feel like it could help any of your friends, or you just want to, share it with them because it's entertaining. Of course, also very welcome. And then we see and we hear us again in the next episode. Is there anything else you want to add, Martin? That was a good breath already. Always good to take deep breaths.
Yeah, it's not that bad to go out of your comfort zone. Just search it up. Because just see wherever, that takes you. When you think for a moment like, you're talking bullshit, then maybe that's also somewhere your brain sort of like saying you should not listen to this, but in the same time, it's also an illusion because it gives you another opportunity and chance to expand yourself and widen up and open up. And everyone, that might be listening or might be listening later to this, I would really encourage you to do that, because it gives you a lot of new territory to discover. And, you can stay within your own safe world, but it's also really cool to just expand and see where you can go, see where your potential takes you.
So much potential to uncover, so much to enjoy in this beautiful life on Earth that is actually eventually a playground. And as children, we knew how to play. So let's get back into that state and just play without any judgment on what might happen or what might go wrong, but just play for the sake of playing and expressing, and also allowing every situation to occur. And sometimes things go wrong, but that's not a reason to stop expressing. It's just a beautiful experience again. So, yeah. Aho to you. Aho,
Hey!
aho, aho. Maybe we need to bring that into the outro.
Ow.
Aho, aho.
Ow. Ow.
Much love to everyone, and see you in the next podcast next week.
See ya.